over. Underworld 2, Underworld 4.
From the Millennium Falcon, it's the IGN Digigods. Please welcome two men who know that's no moon, Wade Major and Mark Kaiser.
Thank you, Corey. We loves us a good Empire Strikes Back reference. Who threw that one our way, Corey?
That was brought to you by Eric Altieri. His hyperdrive is down.
Thank you. Very nice. So, Mark, have you been watching the Olympics?
I have not. I have not watched any of the Olympics.
Did you?
I've never been an Olympics guy. I don't really care. God love them. They're all very talented.
Yeah.
My young cousin was
But
that
you're-
close to being an Olympic archer.
But you're a Danny Boyle fan. Danny Boyle directed the 4.5-hour opening ceremony.
I heard it was terrible, and you watched every second of it, didn't you? And basked in its terribleness.
Honestly, it was it was like the worst Super Bowl halftime show I've ever seen, and it just didn't end.
It was the longest Super Bowl halftime.
Oh, it was
show.
ridiculous. It was 4.5 hours long, and NBC still cut it. They still cut out this tribute to the victims of 7/7. Which was like a big controversy because apparently it was the most moving part of the evening, and NBC cut it out on the delayed replay.
I wonder why they did that. Because they don't want the sponsors to think that they did it because they don't want the Olympic sponsors don't want to think that suddenly the opening ceremony has become a bummer, which means they're going to turn the channel and they're not going to watch the commercial that they paid $100,000 billion a second for.
Yeah, because the tribute to Britain's National Institutes of Health was that's a real uplift. When all the nurses came out looking like they were treating people for a cholera epidemic. That was fabulous. Mr. Bean I mean, you seriously have no idea what you missed. It included Kenneth Branagh in a top hat reciting Shakespeare, Mr. Bean playing the keyboards and starring in a comical wacky riff on Chariots of Fire, and Paul McCartney showing up looking old and jowly. I mean, it was like, what? Really? What does this mean? None of this
It's a celebration of the Olympic spirit.
No, it isn't. It was like, look, this is what it means to be British. It means old Beatles, Mr. Bean, Shakespeare, Kenneth Branagh, and Daniel Craig and the Queen jumping out of a helicopter. I mean, what? It's insane.
Now the Chinese. They did it right.
Well, they did it right, but they got Zhang Yimou to do it. I mean, Zhang Yimou, look, Danny Boyle is a film guy. He's not a live event guy. I know he's done some live stuff, but that's not his forte. Zhang Yimou has done some tremendous live stuff. He's directed opera. You know, he understands that.
He's not really a spectacle guy either.
No. You've got, like, anybody on the West End, the people who put on the Glastonbury, for crying out loud, hire them to do it. Oh, gosh, what a mess.
Well, who gets the next one? Who gets 2014?
2014 is Rio de Janeiro.
Oh, that's going to be some dancing.
You better believe it.
Some topless chicks.
You got it. Gotta love the way the Brazilians put on a show. By the way, check out my arm.
What happened to your arm? Why is there bruises all over it? That's disgusting. You didn't tell me that.
I saved it. I saved the good stuff for the show like you do. Yeah, right?
What is that? It's horrible.
Isn't that awesome?
No. Your forearm is completely black and blue. Why are you laughing?
Because I went to the doctor and had some blood taken, just the usual blood test. But apparently, even though I've done this a million times, you're supposed to have your arm straight, right? When you get the blood, I didn't. I was bent a little bit, and I guess every once in a while it will nick an artery, and you'll get like some kind of bleeding inside the arm.
Ew. It hurt?
It hurt like hell.
Really?
I couldn't even extend my arm for a day.
It's just bleeding inside your arm.
Yeah, it was nasty.
And then somehow, like, how did your blood absorb?
I don't know.
How did your arm absorb? Like, all that blood goes into the surrounding tissue. What happens to it?
I have no idea.
Someone emails. Is there a doctor in the house? Email us at gods@digigods.com. And when you have an artery break in your body, where does the blood go?
Truly, though, doesn't it look like I'm the next step in human evolution?
It looks like you're a step backwards in human evolution.
It's brilliant. Okay, you know what? We need to deal with some kid vid. We haven't talked about the kids in a long time, Mark. And well, you know what? Before we talk about the kids, let's just roll through some compilation things. Marilyn Monroe has been largely absent in the world of Blu-ray for a while, and this is a really interesting release from 20th Century Fox, who, of course, releases all the Fox films and MGM films, so they've got a good collection of Marilyn stuff from both MGM and Fox. And they have released Forever Marilyn, which is a 7-disc set split into 2 different books, which are basically just 2 different inserts inside the set. But the films included are Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, How to Marry a Millionaire, River of No Return, There's No Business Like Show Business, The 7-Year Itch, Some Like It Hot, and The Misfits. The latter 2 have been out on Blu-ray already, Some Like It Hot and The Misfits, which are not typically considered Marilyn Monroe movies. I mean, Some Like It Hot is, she's in it, but she doesn't own the movie. It's an ensemble. And it's, Billy Wilder mainly. But, you know what? I got to say, 7-Year Itch and Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, getting those 2 on Blu-ray finally, that's pretty great.
That is great.
And How to Marry a Millionaire, River of No Return, No Business Like Show Business, which is, good, but not as good as it should be. This is a really nice set. What I find interesting here is it's all digipacked in a package that is exactly the same size and form factor as a DVD, even though these are Blu-rays. And we were just reading a thing about how Blu-ray sales have increased 13% over the same period last year, which is like salvaging the home entertainment business. I mean, Blu-ray is it's finally kind of catching a groove. And I think it's really interesting and very symbolic of that now Fox is really less concerned about making sure that people don't confuse this with DVD. This is Blu-ray, and there's nothing on it that actually indicates that it's Blu-ray unless you look for the little Blu-ray logo on the spine and on the back. Otherwise, it's assumed it's Blu-ray. I think that's kind of turning a corner.
Well, at some point, everything will have to be on Blu-ray. There's no excuse to have something on DVD.
But normally you want people to, if people accept that there's still this bifurcated market, DVDs and Blu-rays, they're looking to see, oh my gosh, is that a Blu-ray or a DVD? Because Blu-rays come in the little blue package.
Right.
If we're kind of turning a corner now where people just see something that's new and they assume that it's Blu-ray, at least if Fox thinks that they're going to, which seems to be the intimation, because there's nothing, I mean, look, what tells you this is Blu-ray?
Only on the spine.
See?
That's it. That
Nothing.
is all.
So, I mean, to me, that's an interesting shift, and I have to believe that Fox did not do that without doing their research. There's no little band, there's no bar, there's no big Blu-ray logo, nothing. You really have to look for it. So I think they're assuming that if people see it, they're just going to default and say, oh, great, a new Marilyn, must be Blu-ray, which is really turning a corner, I think.
I hope so, because you know what? The idea is that once Blu-ray starts penetrating the flyover states, like once in all the farms and churches of America, there are Blu-rays, then Blu-ray will have officially won.
Absolutely. And then we've also got a TCM Turner Classic Movies Greatest Classic Legends collection release. These come out every so often, both for classic legends on Stars and classic movies and genres. It's a TCM, an ongoing TCM thing. And this is the Kirk Douglas Drama Collection, which includes the amazing Lust for Life, the extraordinary The Bad and the Beautiful, the somewhat negligible Young Man with a Horn, and the why the hell is this on there Before I Forget. Now, Mark, Lust for Life is great.
Yes,
he plays Vincent Van Gogh, directed by Vincent Minnelli. Amazing movie, really a beautiful film. One of the great performances by Kirk Douglas ever. And he was berated by John Wayne for playing that.
John Wayne berated a lot of people for playing a lot of roles.
But John Wayne actually said to Kirk Douglas, he goes, "What are you doing playing a painter?"
That exactly. What are you doing playing a liberal?
Guys like you and me, we're not supposed to play painters. He said that.
But,
Kirk Douglas thought that was hysterical.
John Wayne was John Wayne off camera too.
And Bad and the Beautiful, of course, is just one of the most brilliant, caustic looks at Hollywood on the inside that has just ever been made. It's an absolutely fantastic film. The Young Man with a Horn, it's one of those angst-ridden musician movies that they made a lot of at the time, which is significant only because it's got some cool Hoagie Carmichael music in it. But then again, so does the Flintstones. And Before I Forget, I had never even heard of, and this is kind of weird that this is on here. Before I Forget, it was made 3 years ago. And this is just Kirk Douglas just basically telling his life to an audience.
Well, he had a one-man show in Culver City.
That's what it is.
Or that's
it.
Got it.
Yeah.
And I think he was like 90 or 89 when he did it. He did that show.
Well, this is from 2009.
But I think he was 90 years old when he did that
Something.
show? Well, what's the show called?
Before I Forget.
Before I forget.
Yeah, and I mean this is all sort of post-stroke, and I'm thrilled that he did it. But you're looking at the Kirk Douglas drama collection. That should be an extra, not one of the films. I'm sorry, but that should be the bonus. There should be another movie on here. So Warner Brothers, I think you kind of Turner really. Warner Brothers is just releasing this, but Turner, you kind of dropped the ball there. You need another movie.
92. He was 92 years old when he did Before I Forget.
Yeah, that's not acceptable. That's
right,
it's great, but it should be an extra.
Who cares? We have too much other stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Mysteries. Okay, I have a message.
Yeah.
I have a message to the people at Shout. Where are my glasses? I have a message to the people at Shout Factory.
Yeah.
I understand Mystery Science Theater is fantastic, and I love it. And there's a new release every other week. You got it. Put it on Blu-ray. Forget the DVD already. Enough with the DVD.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
Stop it.
That's...
You can put a whole season of this show on like one, multi Blu-ray set on 2 Blu-rays. Look, these are horrible movies anyway. They're 4:3, black and white. They look like crap.
I know.
You can put a whole season on one Blu-ray probably. So stop with the DVDs.
Yeah.
And it's cluttering up my Blu-ray shelf. This is Mystery Science Theater Volume XXIV. That's 24.
Thank you.
And this one includes Fugitive Alien, Star Force, Sword and the Dragon, Samson versus the Vampire Women, which is the funniest one. Now, this also has a couple shorts, and you know how much I love the shorts, but one of the shorts here, A Date with Your Family, is on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Why?
If it was on Blu-ray, I guess, I don't know, it doesn't matter. It's still an industrial. So A Day with Your Family, it was an industrial about how to have dinner with your family.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious. It's one of the best shorts. That one and the one where the guy plays the used car salesman. I love that short. Where they have a guy who teaches his protege how to sell used cars.
Yeah.
I think it's called Maid or something. And there was Maid Part 2. Anyway, point being, these are hilarious. The Samson versus the Vampire Women, the funniest one. The shorts are available on YouTube, which is disappointing. And Shout Factory, we love these things. We love them. Keep them coming. We put them on Blu-ray.
We are going to go into some kid vid now and blow through it real quickly. Mark made new cookies, by the way. Very nice ones. They were good. So blow through some kid vid real quick, and then later on we're going to have Vox Box and try to squeeze in some listener mail as well. Some Marvel animated stuff. A couple more from the anime Marvel, which is always interesting. One is Blade, and the other is Wolverine. And these have a certain following. And you know what? The whole anime look suits the Marvel world very nicely, especially Wolverine. I think Wolverine, he's almost like an anime character, actually. The whole everything about X-Men mutant D stuff it fits very well with the anime look. Blade looks a little bit like they just tried to do an anime version of the movies, which is a little bit lacking. The movies are great, and I'm not so keen on this one particularly. But the look it's a nice change from what they usually put on television. And then we also have the latest release of Iron Man Armored Adventures, Season 2, Volume 1, which is, good animation, decent, but once you've watched the anime stuff, you kind of go, maybe they should be taking a cue from the Japanese, or at least the Japanese look. But this is the first 6 episodes of Season 2, and all of this is just designed to really just get a little bit of traction from the movies. We've also got some actual anime stuff here. This is all courtesy of Funimation, who always does really, really cool stuff. And they, Funimation is kind of there used to be a whole bunch of companies that released a lot of anime, and Funimation kind of now owns the roost. They really do. There's Viz and Funimation and not really anybody else. And Funimation here has the complete first season of Strike Witches, which is, something about the Japanese and young girls with cat ears or fox ears or animal ears. I'm not quite sure what that fetish is all about. It's very strange. But this is a World War II thing, takes place in 1944. And you know what? Flying kind of like cyborg girls with kitty ears. It's very strange. Not sure I understand it. The Sacred Blacksmith, which is a really, really popular show relatively recently. I know a lot of people that love this. I have watched a few of these. Like many of these shows, I don't understand what's going on. It totally, totally throws me for a loop. It's kind of like medieval, magical, cyber-futuristic, retro, historical adventure stuff. Don't get it. But it's really well done, beautifully made. Some cool extras on here, especially the episode previews from the original Japanese show. And the artwork is great. The artwork and the animation is absolutely terrific. But the top of the heap is Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, the complete collection 2, episodes 34 through 64. And likewise, I really don't know what's going on in here, but artistically, this thing is head and shoulders above almost anything else. It is just mind-boggling. And there are a number of volumes out on this, and this is just absolutely sensational looking. I mean, even if you don't know what's going on, it's great. And the Strike Witches set, by the way, is a Blu-ray DVD combo pack. The others are just DVD.
Wait, I want to propose a SmackDown. Possibly the ultimate SmackDown.
And what would that be?
Transformers Prime versus Gem and the Holograms.
I'm putting my money on Gem and the Holograms.
Gem and the Holograms is a animated show from the 80s. And season 3 is on DVD for some reason. The show is terrible. Putting this out on DVD and Shout Factory, and Shout Factory always they dig up these crazy old things and put them out. But having this out, especially season 3 on DVD, reminds me of like when DVD first hit and everybody was releasing everything on DVD.
Yeah.
Didn't matter what it was.
No.
Now, frankly, they really should have just released Gem and the Holograms, the whole series. I mean, they only ran for like 4 or 5 seasons. Just release the whole damn thing.
I know.
I mean, you're really going to put this out? You put some long-forgotten 30-year-old show out on DVD one season at a time? Stop that.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, that's Gem and the Holograms. Terrible. Transformers Prime, One Shall Stand. Now, you got to understand something about this computer-animated thingamabob, which is this is not an original movie. It's called a feature-length presentation. And the reason they call it that is because they took 7 episodes of seasons 1 and 2.
Mashed them all together.
And they mashed them all together into one narrative.
Whatever.
Exactly. So I don't really like the animation. It's some of the detail in the robots is good. It's like scuff marks when they get into fights and stuff. But the human animation is just really kind of 2D and kind of flat looking. I'm not really into it. The voice acting is pretty good. Frank Welker, yeah. Ernie Hudson.
Yeah, we love Ernie. I've loved Ernie Hudson ever since he did The Human Tornado with Rudy Ray Moore.
You're out of your mind.
Yep.
Anyway, the story is written by Robert Orsi and Alex Kurtzman, who wrote the movies.
Good grief!
And Transformers Prime,
They
One
do
Shall
everything.
Stand. But if you already have the other, if you already have season 1 and 2 of the show, you don't really need this.
Got it. I'm going to go through some itty bitty kid stuff, Mark. This is strictly for the little ones, so we're not going to spend too much time on this because the little ones don't listen to our show; their parents do.
Thank you, Wade.
So here we go. I'm not going to torture Mark with too much of this. Thomas and Friends, they're the creepy little CGI train people. This is Schoolhouse Delivery, and it's still creepy. All these things kind of in the wake of Teletubbies, which I know everyone else finds creepy, but I find endearing. I find all of it
You used to call me and go, you used to sing the praises of the Teletubbies.
I love the Teletubbies
without
so much.
any sense of irony or sarcasm, or you were kidding.
When I saw that accidentally one day with the baby face in the sun and it was giggling, it was all over. It was like this unbelievable acid trip of a show that was just phenomenal. Then we also have Barney, all about opposites. I got to tell you, this whole is the same person still playing Barney?
Oh, I don't know.
That'd be just truly creepy. By the way, when I was at the doctor's office the other day, there was some people there with this little girl, and the little girl, because my doctor shares like an office with a pediatrician, and there's a little girl there, and she had like a little portable video thing that had Barney running on it, and I thought it's bad enough that people use Barney as a babysitter at home. Now they bring the babysitter along and just here watch Barney. Watch it in the car. Watch it wherever you go. Don't take your eyes off it.
Whatever shuts the kid up.
My gosh. Anyway, that's why I like Death to Smoochie. Just a great movie. Such an underrated comedy. So anyway, this is just, this is about big, little, stop, go, here, there, me, you, up, down, inside, outside. It's just, it's really remedial stuff. And if you're an adult, or if you're, let's say if you're over 4 years old, this will just, you'll have an aneurysm, and you'll hate every second of it. But the fact that he's a big purple dinosaur, I guess, is amusing to some people. A couple of Dora the Explorer releases here from Nickelodeon. Dora's Rescue in Mermaid Kingdom. Now, I've never been able to watch Dora ever since Smigel did that spoof on Saturday Night Live, and all Dora needs to do is open her mouth, and I hear Smigel doing that thing. That was so outrageously funny, just so irreverent. So I can't take this stuff seriously anymore. But you know what? I know a lot of kids that really, really love this stuff. And in this one, Dora's a mermaid, and Boots is sea monkey Boots. And it's all about the ocean. Yeah, what do you want? And then this one's much more in tune with the Olympics. This is Dora's Fantastic Gymnastics Adventure. Yay, Mark. Look, she's doing rhythmic gymnastics. They couldn't have her just do normal gymnastics, which is an actual Olympic sport. It had to be rhythmic gymnastics with the ribbon.
Well, yeah, but it's the Olympics, and you want to get young girls caring about the Olympics.
I guess rhythmic gymnastics, the ribbon stuff, the prancing around with the ribbons and the
yes, because what Nickelodeon wants kids to ask their parents for rhythmic gymnastic ribbons for their birthdays, and then they'll run around the house with a rhythmic ribbon, knocking over vases and plants, and pissing off their parents.
Okay, well, anyway, this'll get them doing that. So Elmo, we of course like Elmo more and more now that we know that Elmo is a middle-aged, 6'2" black man. Based on that documentary, suddenly Elmo, I'm all about Elmo. I don't make fun of Elmo anymore. Elmo impresses the hell out of me. Elmo represents the American dream. And this is 2 complete Elmo episodes on a title called Elmo's Magic Numbers. And you know what? There's over 2 hours here of Elmo and numbers and math, and unless you're 3 years old, your eyes will glaze over. But it's fine for the kids. Timmy Time creeps me out, but the animation is really good. That's because this comes from the people over at Aardman. So you get that wonderful Aardman animation wrapped around a very, very disturbing narrative, or a very disturbing world, we should say. Most of these kids' shows are wrapped around a disturbing world, and this, the whole black sheep thing of Timmy is a little bit creepy, and all of the other creatures are creepy, but you get around it, you watch it, and even if you're not a kid, adults can watch this and go, yeah, cool, it's the Wallace and Gromit guys. There are 5 episodes here. This is from the people at HIT, who distribute through Lionsgate, and I would probably say that's one of the least offensive of any of these. Getting near the end here, Angelina Ballerina. These ballet mice. This is also from HIT. I've never been able to get around this. It makes me want to kill someone. And then lastly, we've got another thing that's sort of peripherally related to Thomas and Friends. This is Awesome Adventures Volume 2, which is really just a compilation of a number of these shows that are done by HIT. It includes a couple of Thomas and Friends, 2 episodes of Fireman Sam, and then 2 episodes from Bob the Builder. And it's all that same kind of creepy CGI animation. I'm more forgiving of Bob the Builder just because I know a guy named Bob who actually is a builder, so that's a running joke with us. But otherwise, for people whose children have already been sucked into the vortex. And then lastly, from Nickelodeon, I actually have a fond spot in my heart for Bubble Guppies. It's a cute title, and this is a fairy tale TV movie, as they dub it, on the Bubble Guppies. Now, a lot of this is clearly borrowed from other material, including, among other things, Pixar movies and a whole bunch of other stuff from Nickelodeon. So it's very, very derivative, but you know what? It's cute. It's decently animated, and the writing is not so egregiously offensive that adults will want to shoot themselves in the head. So Bubble Guppies is good for the kids.
Bubble Guppies. I have another SmackDown idea. The Bubble Guppies versus the Power Rangers Samurai.
How many Power Rangers shows have there been now? It's out of control.
As many as will buy Haim Saban all the Rolls Royces and theaters he wants. Haim Saban puts his name on a Jewish theater right here in Beverly Hills, Wilshire, and the one in Wilshire and La Cienega. That's now called like the Saban Theater.
All because of one show. That's amazing.
All because of being smart enough to buy
this guy
hundreds of episodes of a Japanese show of like 20 years ago, and then like update it with brief American shot interludes.
That's just unbelievable.
Well, now we have Power Rangers Samurai, and the show isn't getting any better. It's just introducing.
Can't get any worse.
It's just introducing another generation to Power Rangers stuff, because the old stuff is seen as like, oh, that's my older brother watches. I don't want to watch that.
Yeah.
So he just keeps supplying them just to get a new generation into it.
Whatever.
Anyway, so there's 2 Power Rangers Samurai Volume 1 and Volume 2. Volume 1's called The Team Unites. That's the first 4 episodes of that season. And then the other one is Volume 2 called A New Enemy, which is 4 continuing episodes. It's a whole bunch of crap, but you know what? I'm not 12 years old anymore. I used to be.
Adventure Time is one of the most deeply disturbing shows on Cartoon Network, and this is the complete first season. I just really don't know what people see in this, but it's so minimalistic, and it's so kind of contrary to what animation should be. It's not even like South Park. It sort of says, you know what, we're going to strip everything down to the bone, and we are going to make these characters not so excessively drawn that they're grotesque. We're going to make them so sparsely drawn that they almost don't even look human. It's almost like stick figures running around. Something really creepy about that. But you know what? They somehow have made it work because it's apparently popular enough that a lot of people's children tune in and turn into psychos once a week. So anyway, this is Adventure Time, the complete first season. Wade finds it disturbing. All 26 episodes, and there's a special feature on here that I did not watch because it gives me the hives and I start to have bad night sleeps. Anyway, here on the total other end of the spectrum is Babar, the complete first season.
Baber Defilant? Baber Defilant?
I love Babar. I grew up with Babar. This is what animation should be. Babar, you know, is a classic French comic book, and I grew up with these things. They're wonderful. They're beautifully drawn, and you know the essence of what Laurent de Brunhoff did in the original books.
That's why you like it, because it's French.
Totally, it's just wonderful.
If it was American,
so
you'd hate it.
Oh,
if it was American, it was the same exact animation, same script, same even if it was American and in French, you'd still hate it.
It's so sweet. It won't turn your children into psychopaths like all this other stuff. There's nothing weird or freakish here. It's just really sweet, really well done, nicely written. 13 episodes on 2 discs, and your children will be so sweet and so docile after watching this. So everything else that I've mentioned, just forget about it. Just go with Babar.
Baber Defilant?
Totally.
Oh, are we almost done with the kid stuff?
Yeah,
this
we're
right
at the end.
Okay. iCarly, the complete 4th season.
This is not animated, by the way.
This is about a girl
in case
who,
you didn't know that.
Creates her own web show with her best friends, and this thing keeps going. You know what's interesting about a lot of these Disney and Nickelodeon shows? That they're all about kids trying to be famous.
I know.
Not like they're all about kids who try, like Sunny with a Chance, kids try to be famous.
Have I shown you my arm?
Oh, my God. Anyway, all right, whatever. iCarly, complete 4th season. This is no better or worse than any other iCarly season, and who cares?
Yeah.
Rocko's Modern Life, Season 3. This thing is, it's got very funky, cool animation, and it was created by Joe Murray, who did Camp Lazlo, which was also kind of popular. And this one is not so bad. I kind of like it because the animation is very John Chris Falucci-esque. John Crick Falucci-esque. So I do appreciate it for that, although it's still ultimately for kids. Rocko's Modern Life, Season 3. Hey Arnold is, this is Season 2, Part 2, 2-disc set. This is the show about the kid with the football-shaped head. Not Stewie Griffin from Family Guy. This is Arnold. And, kids love this show. And, it's got a lot of good voice acting. Dan Castellaneta is on it from The Simpsons. And, I'm not a big fan of it because I think the kids are strange looking, and I'm not 8 years old anymore. But there you go. Now we have one more, Wade.
And I'm assuming that's not Dan versus the Volcano?
A film, by the way, I tolerate. I think that film is fine.
I do too.
Dan, what's his name? Joe versus the Volcano?
Joe versus the Volcano, yeah.
Directed by John Patrick
Shanley.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, Dan versus is a show that actually it's a Flash animated series, and now it's on DVD.
Does that look okay?
Huh?
The Flash animation?
Well, it was created in Flash animation.
Oh, okay.
And now it's been transferred to Blu-ray, to DVD, and released on DVD. So obviously there's not a whole lot of detail. It's not like 30 frames per second sort of stuff. In fact, one of the bonus features is animatics for one of the episodes.
Ah, yeah.
But, the voice casting is good. Paget Brewster's in it. Also, Curtis Armstrong plays Dan. Now, Curtis Armstrong, for those who do not know, played Booger in Revenge of the Nerds.
Ah, yes.
Come on,
That's
Booger,
right.
Revenge of the Nerds. Anyway, this show is...
He was also on Moonlighting.
He was?
Yes.
What are you doing Moonlighting?
He was the office guy on Moonlighting.
I I had no idea.
Yeah, never mind.
Spock.
Move on.
Anyway, all right. This show it's cute, but again, it's basically a web show. It's 22 like missions, and it's cute. Dave Foley's in it too. But again, it's not great animation. It's not 30 frames a second animation, but it's kind of violent and kind of funny as they fight like the Jerk. It's Dan versus the Jerk. Is most of the season.
Okay. All right, Mark. We'll before we carry on with the rest of the show, we've got some docs and some foreign and some new films and a lot of great stuff and some classics. I think we should give our friend Alexander Berlika in the faraway land of Belarus a chance to deliver our latest Vox Box.
What?
What?
Don't I get to sing the song?
Yeah, that's your cue.
Oh. It's Vox Box.
Hi, Wade and Mark. It's Alexander Berlika once again. And here's my question. It has to do a little bit with the DGA and its regulations. So I was reading about the making of Return of the Jedi the other day, and of course there was this whole conflict between George Lucas and the Directors Guild of America, which resulted in him leaving the DGA, and because of that, according to some sources, Lucas was unable to hire Steven Spielberg as the director of Jedi, because he was a member of the DGA, so he was not allowed. So this brings me to the question. If he could not work with Spielberg on a movie that he was producing, and which was done through Lucasfilm, how was he able to get him for the sequels to Raiders of the Lost Ark? Did it have to do with the fact that production on Raiders had begun while Lucas was still a member of the DGA and they had some kind of a sequel rule or something? Or is it something completely different? Regardless, I would be very grateful if you guys could shed some light on this whole situation. Much gratitude in advance, and as always, keep up the great work.
Oh, leave it to Alexander to open up just a can of worms that would take until the end of the show for us to even try to sort through all the details.
Well, okay, there's two parts to this. The first part is that Spielberg's hiring or potential hiring has nothing to do with why Lucas quit the DGA.
No. I mean, well, first of all, we have to differentiate something. The Star Wars, Lucas owns the Star Wars films. And 20th Century Fox is simply contracted to be the distributor, but Lucas owns those films outright, and that was one of the great stupid things that 20th Century Fox did, is they allowed him to buy it back, or at least retain principal ownership of it, thinking that it wasn't going to be worth anything. So they thought that that they were getting a great deal by getting out of it, having him pay them back, and then they would just take a distribution fee. The Paramount owns the Indiana Jones franchise, so the guild signatory in that case is a different company. So it doesn't matter that they're both George Lucas series. It's a different signatory. So Lucas himself is not a DGA signatory, and so anything that Lucasfilm does, presumably at this point, and since then, although I think there are technically are some exceptions that he's done with other studios, things like what was the thing with the midget? You know what I'm talking about?
Howard the Duck.
The Ron Howard thing. No, the Ron Howard directed thing.
With the midget?
With the midget guy. It was the big fantasy
thing.
Willow. Willow, thank you. I think that was a different deal as well. I'm so politically incorrect. But in this case, yeah, Lucasfilm is the principal signatory company with the guilds for the Star Wars films. Paramount Pictures is with the Indiana Jones films. So different guild contracts, so it doesn't make any difference there. But yeah, Lucas quit the guild because there was this disagreement over the credits for Irvin Kershner on Empire Strikes Back. They fined them for not obeying the credit rules, and they're very strict rules. For example, they don't like you to have multiple directors. The Coen brothers were only able to finally get out of that one. They've always co-directed their movies, but it took years for them to get the Directors Guild to agree to let them be co-directors in the credits. So
Robert Rodriguez, he too had to deal with that with Sin City.
Absolutely. So there are all of these little things the DGA really is very particular about, and one of them is credits. Your credits are either at the beginning of the film or at the end of the film, and if they're at the beginning, the last one is the director, and if they're at the end, the first one is the director. And I guess on Empire Strikes Back, there was a Lucasfilm credit at the beginning of the film that somehow made it look like, or seem to them, like Lucas was claiming to be the principal artist, and then they put Kershner's name at the end, and they felt that was a violation, and that's where it all begins and ends. And it's not really clear to me. My wife would be able to answer this much more clearly than I could, but I think at a certain point those regulations just become totally confusing to everybody.
Especially because if the name of Lucas's company was Blim Blam Sweet Potato Pie,
yeah,
you wouldn't have this problem.
No.
But the name of Lucas's production company
That's it.
includes Lucas's name.
Yeah.
So when that was on the front of Empire Strikes Back, I think the DGA considered that, to them, that constituted opening credits.
Yep.
So you cannot put Irvin Kershner's name as the first name in the end credits. It gets pretty in the weeds, but
It's really in the weeds.
I think to boil it down, all of this has nothing to do with why Spielberg never directed any of the Star Wars films.
No, absolutely not. I mean, it may be that he just couldn't hire any, because Richard Marquand was not a member of the DGA at the time he did Return of the Jedi, I believe. Richard Marquand?
Yes.
He was not a DGA member.
Correct. He was not. He was a British director. He was not an American DGA. He was not an American Guild director.
Right.
Directors Guild of America. He was a little-known British director at the time.
Well, thank you, Alexander. That was a really good question.
Wow, Alexander.
Yeah.
Make them simpler next time.
Digging deep. We're gonna
What's 2 plus 2, Wade?
2 plus 2 is...
Yeah, Alexander, ask that.
All right, we're going to blow through some really cool docs right now. And you know what?
Damn it.
Mark, you know what's happening in the UK right now?
Spock. Huh?
You know what's happening in the UK right now?
Something
in
I don't
London?
care about, the Olympics.
That's right. So that's why I'm going to talk for a second about PBS's Queen and Country. Yay, Queen and Country. This is all about the Queen's 60th, whatchamacallit, the Diamond, Cherries Jubilee thing.
You know what? It really is amazing that she's been on the throne for 60 years.
I know, seriously. You know what they say? It's like, or get off the throne. Right?
But, I mean, she must be the longest serving.
Not yet.
I mean, even Kim Jong-il didn't like
her. Well, Queen Victoria is her great-grandmother, great-great-grandmother?
She's still alive?
She is. She's
206 years old.
Yeah. And I think she's got like 3 more years to pass Queen Victoria's reign.
Really?
So she's got to hang with us for like another 3 years.
I mean, they got some good genes in that family, I'll tell you.
Yeah, they do. Queen Mother, she was sousing the brandy well over 100 years.
Yeah, good for her.
So anyway, Queen and Country is a PBS look at the Cherries Jubilee or the Diamond Jubilee or whatever they call it. And
it's actually called the Bananas Foster.
That's what it is. Anyway, it's fine. It's lovely. It's it goes hand in hand with the Olympics right now. It's it's a little fluffy. And then also from PBS, Julia Child's French Classics. Because Mark and I are so into food these days, we've really become foodies in our old age, and I have a whole newfound appreciation for Julia Child. And this is lovely. She is not just entertaining, but the stuff really does work, believe it or not. So we get great demonstrations here for things like coq au vin, which is really good, quiche Lorraine, which is just extraordinary, French onion soup, wonderful, and some fantastic desserts that I don't think I'll ever be able to execute because they look really difficult. But the onion soup, that I can do.
Onion soup?
Onion soup. Total.
Who cannot make onion soup?
No, I'm saying I can. I can't do the desserts, but I can do onion soup.
Got it. I gave you a good cookie before we started the show.
You did. That was a good cookie.
It was a chocolate truffle
It was a really good cookie. I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
Moist and tasty, and you even put a little bit of that. You flecked some baker's sugar on it.
Yes, some powdered sugar.
That was very nice.
Icing sugar. Thank you
nice
very
touch.
much.
Very nice touch.
Actually, the last batch of it, I undercooked them so thoroughly, accidentally, but I totally undercooked them that they kind of fell apart. So I ate them myself. It was a delicious mistake. I just wouldn't serve it to anybody.
Of course.
Anyway, there's a great documentary available on DVD from the Smithsonian Channel called MLK: The Assassination Tapes. This the show originally ran on the National Geographic Channel in 2009, and this is one of the better documentaries about the final moments of Martin Luther King's life. Obviously, there has to be some condensing of information because otherwise the documentary would be 3 days long, which it can't be. But it's great. It's really terrific. It looks good. The producer Tom Jennings, he produced it. He did a great job on it. He really gets you right in the middle there, and the information is very clear and concise and dry, and he doesn't make it too emotional. He doesn't try to kind of lard it with emotion. He just sort of tells you just the facts, ma'am, because the facts are interesting enough, and it feels very comprehensive and very definitive, and it's called MLK: The Assassination Tapes. I was just thinking this the other day. I would really love to read, I've never read a biography of Martin Luther King. I'd like to read one.
I would too. There
was a story about Martin Luther King about how there was another assassination attempt on his life, and he was shot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'll tell the story almost totally wrong, but this is the gist of it. He was at some rally, and he got shot, and he walked into the emergency room to get himself treated, and the doctor said that the bullet was so close to his heart that he could easily have been dead.
Wow.
But Martin Luther King was so calm, and just such a calm presence, just a calm soul, a calm person in the world, that he could literally get shot with a bullet resting within millimeters of his heart
and have the presence
walk
of mind to
into
walk
the hospital.
Amazing.
And then nothing happens. That's how calm this guy was. The story's something like that. It's pretty amazing. Anyway, Bill Moyers, there's a bunch of box sets of Bill Moyers specials, and these tend to skew a little bit older, but it's still really good stuff. This is Bill Moyers on addiction close to home, and this is all about addiction, any kind of addiction, and the fact is that addiction can happen to anyone. And this is it was a 5-part series. It was very highly acclaimed. People really loved it because it was very comprehensive, again, like the MLK one. And this one was very emotional because
it's not Dr. Drew. Let's put it that way.
It's not Dr. Drew, and but it also gets into some of the science, how the brain chemistry literally changes, how professionals treat drug addicts, how there's always a danger of one drug addict passing it down to the next generation, and how to break that cycle. So this is good stuff. Bill Moyers on addiction close to home. Again, it does skew a little bit older, but if you have any of this in your family, you would really get a lot out of it. Bill Moyers.
Lovely.
Yes, Wade?
I'm going to talk about nature right now, Mark.
Nature. What has nature ever done for us?
Well, nature. I saw. By the way, I saw the new Ron Fricke film, Samsara, which goes along with Koyaanisqatsi and Baraka and all that stuff. Saw that the other day.
Dud.
You know what? It's both amazing and tedious.
Dud.
We've got a great PBS nature special here. It's on DVD and on Blu-ray, The White Lions. And this is really, actually, normally I would be kind of snarky about this, but white lions, I didn't even realize there are these these cool white lions.
They have them in Vegas.
Yeah, but
actually, that's white tigers.
Those are white tigers. These are white lions. And this is extraordinary. They were born in 2009 in South Africa, in this park in South Africa, and it's really it's a fascinating look at kind of a mutation that really shouldn't make that much of a difference in why we find them fascinating, but it's very, very well done, and it's typically excellent in the way that all these nature shows are, and if you watch it on Blu-ray, you'll just be enthralled. The photography is just lovely. From First Run Features, we have a thing here called Patagonia Rising, and Patagonia, for those who don't know, is, of course, the southernmost tip of Argentina and South America, which is, we don't think much about it, but it really is almost to Antarctica. I mean, they have penguins there, and it's a totally unique place that was, to a certain degree, settled by the Welsh, and they still have a very kind of almost rustic cowboy culture, and it's a really fascinating look at this amazing place where they have all of these hydroelectric dams that are actually going to totally change the landscape, and this is kind of about how that's potentially going to all come to an end and everything's going to be transformed. So it's a both disturbing and beautiful at the same time. Very well done. Good job by director Brian Lilla. And then we also have a 4-part high-definition Blu-ray here of Shark Divers. And we've all seen this before. The guys who go down in cages and they taunt the sharks and the sharks ram the cage and you go, what, is that guy crazy? But it's a little bit more than that, and there are 4 episodes here: Shark Divers, Shark Business, Whale Sharks, Gentle Giants, and Giants of San Benedicto. And sharks can get a little old after a while, but the high-def photography is so impressive. And then a sister, like a companion Blu-ray to that, is Earth from Above. And this is a labor of love, courtesy of an environmentalist filmmaker, Yann Arthus Bertrand. And the whole point of this is really about sustainability. It's food and wildlife conservation, and it's really meant to be kind of a visual documentary testimonial to the ecosystems that we live in. And I don't know if it really completely. I mean, it's got several episodes here, on how many people need to be fed and what's necessary to actually feed us and how that impacts the environment. We're just humans are this voracious species that need to eat and consume so much in terms of energy and food and everything else that it's wiping out the the ecosystems that remain. But I don't know how much of that fully comes through, but it's awfully, awfully well done. So if it doesn't come through, consciously, it certainly comes through subconsciously. And then Cracking the Koala Code, another episode of Nature, which is on a fabulous, beautiful-looking Blu-ray from PBS. And I'm going to tell you right now, I honestly, whatever mysteries exist regarding the koala world and the koala society, I don't care. They're just cute. And this is all about how they communicate. And you know what? It's great. I'm glad somebody's working on that. But I just think they're cute. I just want. I know you're not supposed to have them as pets, but they're just cool and fuzzy. And I like them.
You know what? Like a capuchin monkey, where they seem like they'd be a cool pet, but a capuchin monkey would be a horrible pet.
Yeah.
Unless you have a huge backyard and are prepared to take care of it.
Right.
Anyway, there's a show, Wade. Top Gear is a really great show, and I think the best thing on Top Gear is probably James May. I mean, he's not, he's kind of he's like the smart guy on that show. And so BBC gave him another show called James May's 20th Century. Now, in this show, whose episodes you can watch on a DVD called James May's 20th Century from the good people at Athena, this is the show where James kind of goes out into the world and explains all these great technological advances of the past century. He flies in a supersonic jet, and there's good visuals, too, like he drops a Mini Cooper onto this huge sheet of glass to see if the glass breaks, and he goes into one of those those G-force simulators where you go around and around.
He has a fun job.
He does have a fun job. Although those G-force simulators, I would just barf, and then as I came around, I swallow my own barf, and then swallow it, and then throw it up again, and then swallow it again, because those things are disgusting. Anyway, so it's a good show. It's a fun show, and also there's a bonus DVD here. It's called James May's Big Ideas. This is a 3-hour bonus program, which is also pretty interesting. I kind of like Big Ideas better because I kind of like, it's like that thing of like, how was this stuff invented? How was supersonic flight invented? I find that interesting. Like robots, like this show gets into robots, like examining robots. How do robots get invented? How do they do what they do? I kind of like that stuff.
I invent robots.
And James May is a great, he's kind of a great guide through the world of 20th century inventions. So I would recommend, especially if you like Top Gear, James May's 20th Century, Wade.
Fantastic.
Phantasmagorical.
And then our last 3 docs here. 2 that I find a little bit tedious. One that I think is really pretty terrific. Jiro Dreams of Sushi. A lot of people love this. I think it's kind of tedious, but this is a Magnolia documentary. It's on Blu-ray. This was a big deal at Tribeca last year. And Jiro is like
wait, it's called Tribeca.
Not
whatever. Tribeca.
Thank you. Jiro is this guy is like the greatest sushi chef of all time. His sushi restaurant in Japan, you can't get reservations, and he's just considered the master of sushi. Mark would just die and go to heaven, and it's expensive as hell. And this is all about the whole Zen lifestyle that goes around the way that he gets his fish and makes his sushi. And it's like it's beyond fish. It's beyond food. It's a whole philosophy of Zen Buddhism wrapped around rice and raw fish. It's really just, it would be a great doc if I were even the least bit interested in this, but I'm not really. But it's I guess for people who love sushi and who love the philosophy of food, it's been a big deal, and I know a lot of people would love it. It's really kind of tedious and drawn out for me. And then we also have a PBS documentary, Why Ships Sink, from Nova. And this was obviously done very, very quickly after that thing, took a wrong turn down near Italy, and that whole disaster happened. What was that thing called? The name of that damn Italian ship when the guy's showing off the Czech model.
Not the Achille Lauro.
Thank you.
The pizza pie.
Yeah, that one. Anyway, the guy he's like showing off for the Czech model, and they ran aground, and then he jumped off, and everybody started drowning, and they're like, "Aren't you supposed to go down with the ship?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm going for help."
Oh, he went down all right.
Yeah, he did. Anyway, so they threw a thing together on Why Ships Sink, which is, it's Costa Concordia. That's it, the Costa Concordia. So anyway, this was all thrown together in the wake of that, just to sort of answer a lot of questions, and it doesn't really. It sort of makes me feel a lot more insecure. And then what's terrific is Never Stand Still, dancing at Jacob's Pillow. Jacob's Pillow is like an old farmhouse in upstate Massachusetts, or whatever part. What's that part of Massachusetts? Not upstate. It's like upstate New York, but it's the
New England.
No, it's Massachusetts,
Boston.
but it's a certain part of Massachusetts, the very sort of pastoral, naturey part. The Berkshires. That's it, the Berkshires. Anyway, this is in the Berkshires. It's a historical monument, and it hosts the world's greatest dance festival every year, and it's amazing. And people from all over the world, all different styles, they all come together, and they sort of trade their knowledge, and they mix and match and fuse, and it's absolutely delightful. I thought this thing was really, really interesting, and the best part of it was that for just a few seconds, Bill Irwin shows up. And even though he's not in a huge amount of it, Bill Irwin is just such an amazing American legend and such a great performer and such an extraordinary link to the past that just having him sort of contextualize this thing, I thought gave all kinds of depth to it. So I really enjoyed this. And, no matter what kind of dance you think you like or don't like, this is really a lovely documentary.
Wait, two things that aren't lovely is 4321. Now, Noel Clarke is a British writer whose show Kidulthood, it's not a show, it's a movie. His movie Kidulthood
Kidulthood?
is called
Yeah,
Kidulthood,
that
and there was
thing.
a
I
sequel
know.
called Adulthood.
Yeah.
Noel Clarke, obviously he likes to think he writes well for teens. So he has decided that he's going to go ahead and make this thing called 4321, which is about which he co-directed, and it's about these teenage girls, and they go on a diamond heist. But it's very kind of it's very posy and very frenetically paced, and there's lots of cool Brit youngster slang in it. It really is it's really catering to that teen girl crowd who would just go nuts over something like this. Is like slick and
Kind of like the next one you're going to talk about.
Actually, 4321 is terrible. Anyway, okay. So the next one is even worse. The next one is a film from earlier this year that was just completely dumped out on I think it was like last May, called LOL. LOL is a there's a French film in 2008 called LOL, Laughing Out Loud, which was kind of well received in France. This American version, which is totally terrible, stars Miley Cyrus. She has a good. Miley Cyrus notwithstanding, this is not a bad cast. Miley Cyrus, Demi Moore, Ashley Greene, Marlo Thomas, which is bizarre.
My goodness, that's weird.
Nora Dunn, Gina Gershon, Fisher Stevens.
That is a good cast.
It's not a bad cast.
No.
Anyway, so this is Miley's kind of first real substantial leading role, and she just is terrible. She has no charisma. I'm sure she's a great singer, and I'm sure she's a great performer on stage, but as a movie actress, it's not going to happen.
This is apart from the Hannah Montana movie, we should point out, which is just an extension of her TV show. This is her first.
This is like
her first adult attempt at doing something.
Crafting a character
exactly.
that is like a real adult movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this movie is just absolutely terrible. And what annoys me too, which maybe won't annoy its target audience, is that this thing just like it just name drops Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and LOL and texting, and like it just tries to just be totally shameless with like how teens speak, and it's just stupid, totally stupid. Anyway, that's all I can say because this movie sucks. What can I say?
I like dragon movies. I admit it.
No, you know what dragon movie I like?
What do you like?
Rain of Fire.
Oh, I love Rain of Fire.
Awesome.
That's what I was just going to say. I love Rain of Fire. I really do. I have a total yen for Rain of Fire. Just because it's guys fighting dragons. And, there are bad dragon movies and good ones. And the bad ones are the ones where the dragons get a little too friendly and talky. And the good ones are where the dragons are they're just mean and just asking for it. And that's why I kind of have a soft spot for Age of the Dragons. Even though this is not kind of an A-list film, this is direct-to-video stuff. Got a decent cast. Got Vinnie Jones in it, who I've always liked, and Danny Glover, who, even though he's certifiably crazy these days, he still, he can still pull it off on screen. Danny Glover still, he brings the weight. He brings the heavy. And it's perfectly fine. If you like guys fighting dragons, this'll do it for you. I don't know why they call him Captain Ahab, because that's sort of just a little bit too obviously referential to Moby Dick. But, for a medieval movie about fighting dragons and trying to get revenge against a dragon, it's fine. But, the Moby Dick obviousness really has to go. So if you just kind of let that slide and just focus on good acting and, nice medieval backdrop and killing dragons, it's cool.
Wade. Treasure Island.
Oh, no.
Yes, there was a last year, actually earlier this year.
It was a sci-fi, wasn't it?
It was, it was a 4-hour made-for-TV movie. It aired on the Sci-Fi Channel.
I saw commercials.
That's the best you could do.
I saw commercials and I thought, really, Eddie Izzard?
Eddie
Really?
Izzard is Long John Silver with like his little peg leg.
Oh no, Eddie Izzard is like evening dress Silver. That's what he is. He's not wearing long johns. He's wearing an evening dress. Petticoat Silver. Petticoat Silver? I'll get it right. I will. I'll get the material will work. Seriously, I'm going to take this to a club. You'll love it. People will laugh. I'll kill. I won't bomb. Carry on.
I'm letting that joke. I'm letting that joke die. Just a horrible death by just being totally silent. Anyway, this movie really isn't that bad. There's a bunch of liberties taken with the Stevenson original. And I think the Occupy Wall Street people will probably see some they'll see some parallels in the story, about wealth and, who's rich and who's not rich and whatnot. But so ultimately, this is really not that bad. I think that people who are completely enamored of the novel will not like this because, again, it does take a bunch of liberties. And there's a bunch of special features, a making of, some cast interviews with Eddie Izzard, Elijah Wood, and that's pretty much it, actually. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
Because Donald Sutherland wasn't interviewed. But anyway, it's a good-looking Blu-ray, though. It was well shot. Now, Wade, for some reason there's like this, and I'm not sure if this started with, what's his name, with Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
But all these wrestlers,
Yeah.
they all want to be actors.
I know. Isn't
How
it
come
funny?
rap stars want to be actors, wrestlers
don't
want to
know.
be actors, singers want to be actors? Can't you just be what you like, what you already are?
I don't know.
I mean, how about that for a concept? But then again, I can see how, a wrestler would want to do something else because,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't wrestle forever because you'll get old and your bones will break. Anyway, Randy Couture stars in Hijacked, a truly terrible movie about he plays a special agent who's trying to reconcile with his former fiancée, and he gets aboard a private plane, and there's hijackers on the plane. This is really terrible. In fact, except for The Rock, who I like. I think The Rock is totally charming. I think that guy is awesome. I think he's starting to die a little bit. He's picked he picked some bad films.
He's trying to be too Family Guy. Yeah.
He made some bad choices, and now he's kind of sputtering a little bit. But Randy Couture is totally dead on arrival. And even in The Expendables, a film that I thoroughly did not like, he's even bad in that. I mean, although he should be doing those sorts of films, Randy should be, the fourth banana in The Expendables. He should not be top-lining crap like Hijacked.
Yeah.
Finally, there's a little thing here we call ATM. Wait, what does ATM stand for?
Automated teller machine, or automated terror machine.
What? Oh my God, that's what it is. Because it's an automated teller machine, and these three bank workers, or they're not bank workers, these three co-workers, they get trapped in they're trapped in a bank, like an ATM kiosk thing with this guy who's going to kill them.
Mm-hmm.
And this stars a bunch of people you never heard of, except for Alice Eve, who's sort of on the cusp of some sort of strange fame. Anyway, it's about these three people. They leave the Christmas party together. They decide to go into an ATM, one of those ATMs that you sort of walk into. And there's this crazy guy, and he's going to kill him, and that's what it's about.
Yeah.
And the thing with the director, David Brooks, he's only directed 2 films. This is the first feature-length film he's directed. But he was an associate producer on For All Mankind.
Oh my, really?
But not that one. A really crappy one.
Oh.
I freaked you out.
Well, Total Recall, Mark. Back in 2006, Total Recall hit Blu-ray, and everybody was unbelievably underwhelmed. And now that the new Total Recall, directed by Len Wiseman and starring his wife, Kate Beckinsale, and a lot of other people who really should know better, including Colin Farrell, is about to hit screens on Friday, they are re-releasing the original Total Recall so that we are reminded how much better a film it is undoubtedly going to wind up being. even though it is itself kind of cheesy in that Verhoeven way. And isn't that weird? The Total Recall is now 22 years old.
I know.
Isn't that bizarre?
It's
The movie
sad.
doesn't seem that old. So this is the new mind-bending edition, which
What does that mean, Wade?
it basically means they went back and tried to correct the mistakes of the previous one and clean it up, and you get a little bit of restoration stuff on here. Interview with Verhoeven, commentary with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Verhoeven, and some other stuff. I will say it's not really as mind-bending as they think it is. They didn't really go back and do like a full-blown restoration.
More like mind curving.
They just did basically a better transfer, and it is a better transfer, but it's not as just stunning as it should be. So they really should have gone much further to the wall with this one, and really just given it a crazy, unbelievable special edition release. But they didn't. Nonetheless, it's worth upgrading. Definitely, it's way better than the previous one. That's for sure. And then we have from the wonderful Warner Archive collection. We were talking about Gene Kelly last week and Singing in the Rain, and what an amazing career Gene Kelly had. There are some MGM films with Gene Kelly that a lot of people have probably never heard of, and these are from the Warner Archive collection, and Warner, of course, has those old MGM films, thanks to Ted Turner. You can only get this at warnerarchive.com, and the one is The Devil Makes Three, and the other one is One Man Against the Black Hand. The title of the movie is Black Hand, but it's, when you read the tagline with it, it's just much cooler. Black Hand features Gene Kelly in a dramatic part, which is not quite right for him, but it's interesting. He handles, and it's certainly him trying to sort of find his place as an actor and where he belongs on the screen. So it's interesting from that standpoint. And then in The Devil Makes Three, this is just strictly straightforward, war era stuff, and it takes place after World War II, but it's very much still in the gung-ho spirit of all that stuff, where they just basically wanted to still keep everybody's patriotic spirit going. So it feels like a late propaganda film. But nonetheless, it certainly is a nice artifact. It tells you a lot about the environment in which the World War II genre had sort of dovetailed after the war, and how they were sort of trying to make use of the post-war environment to continue to make films that still dealt with a lot of the same themes, even though the war was no longer on. So that being said, that's certainly an interesting film for Gene Kelly fans as well to check out. So I would recommend The Devil Makes Three and the very interesting Black Hand for Gene Kelly fans. And with that, we are out of time, so if you need to ask us any questions, complain, send us a Vox box, whatever it is, you can do so at gods@digigods.com. We're always reachable. And, Mark, I think that does it for this week, so you should watch some Olympics, really.
Which event should I watch? That would really encapsulate why you love the Olympics.
Women's soccer.
Yeah.